Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have switched across. We are here on the analyst desk, and of course we are joined by Hosam from the Dragonborns, and we're going to answer some of your questions from Twitter, hopefully. So, first I have a question of my own, Hosam. It was honestly one of the funniest moments that we've seen. I mean, Joe were in tears, I think it's safe to say. But have you worked out a new victory celebration other than the chest bump? We don't want to see you injured anymore.
Well, I don't know. Like, I guess I was lucky that I survived the first time. Not gonna try it again.
Well, you kind of did one, and you were like, that wasn't manly enough. We're gonna do a bigger one. It's like you just saw Sushi thump his chest.
I think that at the second one I just jumped, so I lost the gravitation. I lost the gravitation and it just went down.
It was funny. Everybody, I'm sure, has seen it. It was on the top of Reddit for a long time.
I think people were saying in the audience, all they could see was his feet hanging out because he's behind the desk.
I still laugh now every time I look at it and see it. It's just...
Yeah, I guess we haven't got anything else yet to celebrate the victory. Of course, we want to win.
Well, you have won one. Obviously, you won against SK Gaming, and we were like, oh, what are they going to do? Oh, it was so muted.
Well, I'm not going to tell.
Why do you want to see him get hurt so bad, Demon?
I want to see some more excitement. But we do have some Twitter questions. So first of all, it is from X-Full Fighter, I believe it is. And the question is, what do you think the Wolves have to do to start winning games? I think they really have a lot of potential.
I don't know. I think they have to scout the tactics more of the enemy teams, as well as the games weren't really stomped until now. Like the first game was...
That game was not close, I mean, the first 5 games they did were pretty close.
Yeah, they were pretty close, actually. Like versus Gambit and stuff, they could have won. It's just maybe they were kind of unlucky, like maybe they will start winning soon. They just need to prepare more, just train more with Bjergsen, I guess. That's it.
I mean, is this something that you guys work on? You know, if you win the lane phase, how to transition into the mid game, the late game?
Like we focus on not to, like we usually used to throw after we win lane and we just derp and throw. So basically we focus on training that we will not throw it, just group and stuff.
Yeah, because if I think of the SK game, you kind of had that 10-minute period where there was a lull, and it was simply a case of Shushay caught out Ocelot and Nif in the mid lane, caught them with that beautiful laser, and that was it. Everything turned, you attacked.
I mean, yes, basically with lags, it's just lags that you have to catch someone. We were just trying to catch them all the time. They were good at countering it. But I thought that I will take red and kill Kevin top after. I mean, before, like, I didn't hear anything, like no one talking, and then double kill. I was like, what? Okay, I just go on Kevin and I just kill him as well. He's in the audience. Hello, Kevin. Yeah, but basically that's it. Like, we had to find the binding, the kill, and just follow up with the straight win.
Well, you mentioned training in terms of, if you win the lane, you got trained to start grouping up and start, winning the game as it goes on. But that kind of leads us into our next question from Rick_Kramer. What do you think the newer teams need to improve on as they become more experienced?
Not to argue, because, like, usually we argue much. Like, mainly because someone doesn't understand something and he doesn't want to understand it. So he's like, I don't care. There were rage quits, like from TeamSpeak, from League of Legends. Some people just didn't want to train. But basically, you have to train. You just have to play. You just have to make the experience, so you can just put it into the game at the studio and win.
And I'm thinking back of the match versus Fnatic, your first game of the day. I'm well aware because I speak to you guys sometimes in the breaks, but you guys selected Jace, and then nobody wanted to play Jace. If I recall.
At the EG game.
Was it EG? Was it the EG game? Yeah, the EG game. Yeah, your first game against EG.
Yes,
we got Jace. Who wants to play it? No one.
No, I mean, it was supposed to go to 2 roles. I'm not going to say which. But what happened was that we didn't want Froggen to get it for some reason. We took it from him, and then we didn't know what to do. Like, Shushi just played Engage Champions for so long, and then we just went for poke out of nowhere, not training it. So we just didn't know what to do late game. Like, lining phase was a bit lost on top and mid. It was won the same way on bottom for our side. So we were like equal in gold.
Yeah.
But then we just didn't know what to do. They destroyed one turret, second, third, 10.
Well, it was still a smart play because, I mean, we've talked to St. Archie, we didn't talk personally, but St. Vicious has been talking about how teams just keep letting them get the champions they're comfortable with, so they just pick them and win their games, but you're trying to take people out of their comfort zone, which really catches teams off guard sometimes.
Yes, it would be good if we have tried it. If we have picked something else out of, instead of a Kali, like we didn't really play a Kali.
You took yourself out of the comfort zone.
And like Maluno is kind of fresh in team, so as well they don't know how to play so good cooperating with Spontex, and he got just dived by enemy, got 0/5/2, so kind of fitting. But yeah.
It didn't work out too well.
We still have like 3 more games with EG, so let's do this. Next week is the
Let's see
one.
how it turns out. So we have one final question. It was from LOL Avientero, I think that is, if I probably butcher his pronunciation. But he says, if Hosan was given a chance to switch roles, what would you swap to?
If I was given a chance,
Yeah, would you want to swap roles? And if you did, what would you swap to?
I can talk a bit about this,
Okay.
because I mean, basically, I was known for being a mid player,
Right.
and what happened was that Shushe was like, "You wanna be my AD? No, you're gonna be my mid, and I'm gonna be your AD." So that's how our Ilahal started, and I just switched to AD. But if there was no Shushe, I would definitely play mid.
So you would be the mid. So
Yeah.
kind of like when Shushe was in Fnatic, I guess, because he was a mid lane player that just ended up playing AP at the top. And then obviously when the top lane changed, it kind of put him out of place. But he didn't want to be in that situation again. He said, no, you are going to be the AD.
No, I'm gonna be the. I mean, I was like maining mid and playing AD mostly, but I mean, after mid, I was playing AD, so I
Right.
just liked AD, and
Yeah.
it was my second role. And Shushe was like seeing me with Kuban on the solo queue, raping people with Ezreal, so Hassan, you wanna be our AD? Okay, you will be my mid and top. Let's go to ECC Poland.
Let's do this. Let's go to Poland
Yeah.
and let's try and win. But and you had a lot of fans in Warsaw. How is it to, for the fact that the LCS qualifiers was kind of in your homeland? Do you feel that give you a big advantage?
Fans give advantage. Like they mostly like Polish. I mean, Polish fans mostly like Polish people.
Yeah, of course.
From the scene. Not only Polish, but mostly. Like Shushe is really famous in Poland, so basically it was helpful. People are just screaming Dragonborns and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we do have Against All Authorities coming up next. What are they going to do? Obviously, they need to pick up their first win. Copenhagen Wolves need to pick up their first win. They're both in this situation where neither have had a win. AAA, to be fair, kind of like you. They've not had that many games yet. What is it really that these teams have to do to sort of get themselves going? Because you obviously were in the lucky position of picking up your first win in the first day.
AAA is kind of strong team. I mean, we didn't expect them to be so like in the qualifier. We've played against them. We won the first game hard. We were like, yeah, we were qualified for season 3 next game.
Yeah.
Fun. We lost twice in a row, like Stomp, mainly because we didn't know the guys. We got outpicked. I mean, they didn't know us either, but still, like, we're more dependent on picks, and they're more on the gameplay. So what I guess is just that we got raped.
They've got to play what they're comfortable with, basically, is what you're saying. It's something that they've worked on. And how would you get comfy on those champions? You know, the 5-team composition that you end up with, because obviously picks and bans don't always go your way.
What we would try to pick is that something that can defend me, but still like go really aggressive by himself, because like our team is kind of
aggressive.
I would say rather retarded. Sorry about retarded. I mean, we're just so strange and random, but it works.
But it works.
But it works.
You're an odd bunch, but it works. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They're an odd bunch, but it works. And Jason, what do you think? I mean, Against All Authorities, Copenhagen Wolves, what are we seeing here?
Well, I find it really interesting because Dragonborns and Against Authority are in kind of the same situation. I mean, Against Authority brought a new jungler, Virtual, pretty much the last second before LCS. You guys now have Maluno. It's kind of a really interesting thing. You guys can really relate to each other. But, Wolves, we talked about them before. They they have the early game. Unfortunately, the first game today, they didn't really look too strong there, but they have the potential to win the early game. Against Authority, we haven't really seen too much, and we've seen just one game, but as Hosam was saying, they have potential to really just come blowing right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, which side will win? I mean, we've had the right side, we've had the left side. Is it going to go right again? I'm thinking of the way the fixtures are laid out. Is it going to be bouncing back and forward? In which case, it'd be EG versus Fnatic. That would give it to EG as well, the last game.
I think all I can say is that there will be one team with the win.
One team with the win.
Finally.
Wow. Could you sit on that fence anymore?
Nope.
I thought with the new hairdo and everything, you'd be...
it gives me balance for fences.
It gives you balance. I mean, I thought Artosis had joined us on the bench for a while.
He is a good-looking guy. If you're out there, Artosis, you're very handsome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, earlier on in the week, we had a chance to go around Cologne and see how Against All Authorities have managed to settle in to life as a professional gamer.
This is what we have to do every day. Wake up, Schleier. Life of a gamer. We're the team of miracles, so anything can happen.
I like to Cologne. They are so friendly, these people, so I feel like I am at home.
I've been playing games for a lot of years, so this was always my goal. So I'm happy to be here.
It's the first time we meet for training offline. Like before, we just play online for Playmate and Scream against team.
It's a lot easier to play and learn together when you're in the same place. The plan is to just practice a lot, play our best game possible, win some games, and go from there.
We came here about a week ago, and we've been living in the hotel and just training in the ESL studio since then.
It's much more better to play offline because it creates bonding between the team, and I feel like we play much better when we practice offline together than online.
League of Legends is what I wanted to do, like video games. It's a dream I'm living now, so I'm happy to be there, and I don't regret anything.
There's no place to being afraid when you're qualified for this. Just give it all you have at that point, and that's it. Hopefully win at least 2 games. I don't care which teams, but we have 3 games, so 2 out of 3 would be cool.
So there we hear it then. Against All Authority, living their dreams here in Cologne. And I can actually back them up in what they said in terms of training here in the ESL studios over the course of the week. They've been here later than me most nights. When I've kind of wandered through, I heard these voices and I went, who's that then? And it's been Against All Authority every single night here till late practicing. So now they're going to be going up against Copenhagen Wolves. They've both had a rough start. Copenhagen Wolves obviously a lot rougher than Against All Authority. They're 0-6 compared to the 0-1 of Against All Authority. But we do have Björgsen back right now. We've already seen him in action today. This game, though, Against All Authority, against All Authority, is going to be a different one to what we saw earlier. This is the game for them to get that one victory, I feel. It's got to be this one.
It's got to be up to the Copenhagen Wolves. The pressure is on them. They're the ones with the backs to the walls. They're the ones with 6 games under their belt and 0 losses. We do have the team sheets ready, so let's pull those up and take a quick run through. It is, of course, Against All Authority on the blue side. Up in the top lane, Freddy 122, Virtual in the jungle, Schleyer mid lane, and, of course, Nono and Corellius in that bottom lane.
Yep, and for Copenhagen Wolves, we have Nigod Bro in the top lane, Svenskeren in the jungle, Björgsen back now in the middle, and that bottom lane, the Tess, who was absent on the last week's games, and Deficio, the support. And as we said, looking for that first win here, which is so important for their confidence. You can't underestimate that.
Well, there's 28 games that each of these teams are going to play throughout the course of the season, and out of the 28, 6 of them have already been a loss. They're starting to get towards that point where things need to turn around. They need to get some momentum back. They need to get some wins back in their favor. They are going to be facing off against teams that are now lower down the ladder. Of course, it's a bit unfair to say that against AAA because they only have 1 game under their belt. But it's going to be the battles between these teams that's going to determine who is going to be as playoff spots and who's going to be in the position 7 and 8, which is possible for relegation.
Well, let's take a quick closer look here then against All Authority, the team that have been training hard throughout the week. We've highlighted Schleyer there, their mid laner, of course, but they are Freddy in that top lane virtual. The, I guess we could say, new jungler for them, obviously came in for the LCS qualifiers in Warsaw, and then that bottom lane of No and Corralius, and we know that No. We've been trying to get that no, but it's just not provided us with that triple kill just yet. Hoping for it today at some point, at least before Demon gets in and gets to the top of Reddit.
Well, with only one game, I'm sure that there's going to be more opportunity for them to do so. If not this weekend, next week during the Super Week when there's a billion games being played, I'm sure they're going to be able to pull that one out. Let's have a quick look at the Copenhagen Wolves rundown. You can take a look. It is going to be Godbro up in that top lane. He's been a very, very powerful member of the team thus far. The mid lane, it was Coutard. It was Pharrell and Lord last week. In the bottom lane, you had the Test, then you had Coutard. You know, it's been a shaky start for the rest of these lanes. Sven Skaren in the jungle, his Cho'Gath has been great, but it's really been a lot of pressure on Godbro, and he's risen to the occasion against all of the teams he's played against. He's done very, very well, and he's held his own with the best of them. Now it's going to be sort of up to him to stamp his authority on this matchup.
Well, the good thing is, from Copenhagen Wolves side of things, that they've not been destroyed in every... If we take the Fnatic game out of the equation, we can look at those games and say there were probably 3 or 4 that they could really have ended up winning there. So they've got a solid base. Obviously, we had Pharrell and Lord playing for them last time. Coutard, who was the step-in for the mid lane, then went down to the AD. But now they've got this lineup together that they've been banking on, that they've been putting kind of all their chips all in on this lineup. This is the lineup for this season for Copenhagen Wolves, and if there's a time to do it, it's now. Yeah,
and they have to do it now as well. The later that they take to get back into this, the less likely it's going to be for them to turn the scoreboard around for them. And I definitely want to touch on, you know, the composition, the plays that they've been making. I still have flashbacks of Coutard's first blood with Zyra against Evil Geniuses. Just such great play, coordination, communication. You know, Froggen was playing Twisted Fates in that matchup, Destiny down, and immediately jumped down. It was great play, and it just shows communication even with a substitute. So now that they've got Bjergsen back in here, they're potentially a stronger team. But Fnatic showed that they could find weaknesses. They've seen that, look, the Wolves have got a very strong laning phase, so let's disrupt it. Let's throw 5 people into the top lane at 6 or 7 minutes and get the tower and really just stamp an authority in that match.
And that's something that Hosan actually pointed out earlier on, that maybe they're not researching the tactical plays of their opponents well enough coming into these games. And I suppose if there's any team that it's hard to do that against here, it's probably against All Authority, because they're the team that have only played that one single game up until now. There's not that much without, you know, spying on them through the friends list and watching what they're actually doing when they're actually training and stuff like that. But it's really, really hard, I think, for Wolves to come into this game knowing exactly what to expect against All Authority. Let's have a look at their mid laners then. Of course, Bjergsen is the big man that we've been talking about for weeks without him actually being here now, but finally today is his first big day. They've already suffered 1 defeat with him in the Helm in that middle lane. He's up against Schleyer, who, again, not been super impressive, but we've only seen 1 game from him, so you can't really go off that 1 defeat. Every team can start off badly. Some teams can start off brilliantly, so it's all down to today, and I'm interested to see what against All Authority, after really what was a solid week of practicing, can bring to the table here against the Wolves.
Well, I'm very interested to see what they actually play. They've only had 1 matchup in the LCS last weekend, and it was against Gambit Gaming. Gambit banded out Elise, Needly, and Twisted Fate, and AAA ran a Lux and a Kennen AP. So they had Kennen AP up in the top lane, Lux in the mid lane. It worked out relatively well for them because Gambit took quite a long time to get the steam rolls, you know, the steam train rolling. But once they eventually did, they then really took control of the matchup in a similar sort of vein to how they just played now against the Giants. So AAA, they've rolled with Gambit. They've traded evenly for the opening stages of the game. And I have no idea what to expect them in terms of compositions, in terms of picks, in terms of bans. But Thresh, 2 games, 100% pick or ban rate. I know it's 2 out of 2, but still counts. I would love to see if we see them going.
So we're into the picks and the bans here, so we can run you quickly through what has come down so far against All Authority here. Have banned out Lux as their first ban. Nidley then being banned out by the Copenhagen Wolves. Kale was the third ban, or the second ban, technically throwing me off here, for Against All Authority. Then we saw Elise being banned out by Copenhagen Wolves. Vi was then the third and final ban for Against All Authority.
We'll see what ban number 6 is just as soon as the admins get in touch with us. And again, we're seeing the similar sort of bans that what we've seen from Gambit, getting rid of Needly, getting rid of Elise, getting rid of Lux, which we've seen them playing last week. And it's a testament to Schleier's Lux play, saying, look, we don't want to deal with that. We don't want to play against them. And the Copenhagen Wolves have been on the receiving end of some Lux lasers in the last few weeks. So the final ban was in fact Shen. So again, we see a Shen being banned out. I think he was banned in game number 1 and of course now banned in game number 3 as well.
Yeah, and that Nidalee, obviously Wolves, we've seen Godbro actually playing that Nidalee in the top lane as well, but we're into the picks at least with Xin Xiao. First lock in there, I mean, you leave that Xin Xiao open, I'd say 100% of the time he's going to get through at some point. Yeah,
he's one of there was a comment on Reddit a little while ago, the sort of holy trinity of junglers at the moment. And, Jarvan 4 was thrown in there. He's used extensively over in the NA LCS, played so often. But I'm very excited to see this. It is, of course, Volibear and Thresh. Let's sort of say Volibear was, of course, Diamond Prox's bear coming into the LCS. We just seen Edward running Thresh and doing so well with him. I'm interested to see what they do with this Thresh. We mentioned it in the build-up. A number of teams talking about running in the top lane. I believe Soaz has actually run him AD in the top lane. We know he can be support. And to Fisio, there's going to be a lot of pressure and to land those hooks if he is going to be taking the Chain Warden.
Well, he's one of those, I'd say is less high risk than, Blitzcrank, for example, in the lane, because if you miss that hook, then you're kind of all over the place for a while until it comes off cooldown. Thresh has got a little bit more in terms of, his toolkit and what he can really do with that one. But moving on to Against All Authority, Renekton going to be picked up there. We've seen him being played so much over North America and here in Europe as well. And, of course, that Ezreal for No-No.
And it's such a difficult champion to play against because he's got so much in his kit. We keep talking about the armor shred over and over and over, and something that we often overlook is how powerful his ultimate is. That Dominus gives him a massive HP, chunk. It goes to his maximum HP, so it is not affected by healing reduction or anything like that. It's just an instant burst of HP. In addition to that, the damage of damage per second, I think it's 40, 70, 100. Constant magic damage for the entire duration of his build. If he ends up adding a Sunfire Cape to that, that's like 100 to 150 magic damage per second to the entire enemy team, to creeps. If that lasts for 5 seconds, you're talking 1,000 to 1,500 damage just from those 2 abilities alone, before Cull the Meek, before Slice and Dice. It is huge numbers, and at the moment, the Wolves have got a nice tanky lineup. Singed, Thresh, Volibear, they've got HP, they've got defensive stats, and if Varus gets locked in, I'm going to be very excited because this is going to be potentially a very explosive bottom lane.
Well, I just like the Wolves lineup right now. I just love Volibear and Singed in the same lineup. Actually, me and Jason played bottom lane and we're really good. But you can never underestimate the double flippity-floppities. You're all over the place. You're like, all right, guys, I'm going in. Wait, I'm out. Oh, no, I'm back in again. Like, that whole disruption that you get from 2 flips in a team fight, not to mention the fact that you've got Thresh in there who can do all kinds of crazy things in the middle of a fight as well. This is going to be really interesting to watch. Obviously, Varus, we've seen a lot of it from Yellow P on Evil Geniuses. He's up until now done great with that Varus. Moving on to the other side, because Against All Authority going pretty quickly with this one, Sona in there as a support for the Ezreal, and Orianna in the middle.
Well, we've got a massive teamfight comp here coming out of Against All Authority. There's so many, AoE type abilities, AoE damage, AoE stun, knockback, pull in, etc. So it's quite a strong focus on these team fights. But with Volibear and with Singed, if the Syndra does get locked in, there was a lot of talk about whether or not Bjergsen was going to pull the Syndra out, and it would be very exciting to see it. But you've got a huge kiting potential from both Volibear and from Singed. They've got movement speed abilities, they have chase capabilities, they've both got the flings. It's going to be up to them to position themselves away from the shockwave, away from, Jin Zhao's knockback, etc. And how quickly can they re-engage once they've been hit by one of those abilities is going to be key to them winning team fights.
Well, these team fights are going to be absolutely off the wall. I mean, Against All Authority have got a team that are going to be going in there with Xin Xiao, with Renekton. That ball's going to be on either one of them, and bringing them all together. You've got the crescendo to come in from Sona, and then you've got Singed and Volibear who are going to be right in the middle of them. Syndra's going to be throwing things all over the place. You've got Thresh pulling or, being pulled to. It's just going to be a crazy matchup with these 2 lineups.
Copenhagen Wolves, if their coordination is not on point here, things are going to go badly, because whoever gets caught by that hook is then going to get tossed by Singed, is then going to get thrown even further by Volibear, and it's just going to be, heading all the way back.
Thrown to the
right?
Nexus.
The key, though, to this is I can see the engagement coming out from Deficio. If he follows up on that death sentence and dives himself forward, puts the box down, it just creates this instant zone of control that you either run through, take the damage and get slowed, or you run around. It buys the rest of your team time to deal damage. But there's another flip to that as well. If Syndra decides to scatter the weak, she puts her ultimate down, scatters the weak, gets all of the champions knocked back, knocked away, they're going to hit the walls of the box, take the slow, take the damage. But it all comes down to communication, to calling, and to landing those abilities. So if the Wolves haven't recovered from their defeat earlier in the day, it may make them misplay, miscall, or something like that. So there's a lot of pressure on them, but it's a very exciting combo if they can pull it off.
Well, both of these teams looking for their first victory here in the European LCS, so if it wasn't an exciting bunch of champions in there, I'd be quite disappointed, because one of these teams is going to be walking out with their first victory of the tournament. It could be a 0-for-7 for Copenhagen Wolves when they get down to it, or a 0-for-2 against All Authority. And as we said earlier, neither team wants that whole rolling victories coming in against them. Copenhagen Wolves already are in that position, but against All Authority won't want a similar thing to start happening to them here.
This is also something that we touched on so often in week 1 and week 2, that once you've got a bunch of losses to your name, once you've, at the bottom of the ladder, you've got nothing left to lose. There is nowhere to go. So why not pull out the Volibear, the Singed, and the Syndra in the same game? Because if it works, it gets you a win. If it doesn't, well, it's not really going to affect too much in the grand scheme of things. There is still 22 games left for them to play, and if they win half of them, for example, it's going to put them in relatively good standing when you look at the middle to lower half of the board.
Well, here we go then. We are going to get into game, and with all those flips and what have you, what do you expect here at level 1, Trevor? I mean, there's a potential for a really volatile start to this game, surely.
It's very difficult to measure because there's a lot of potential, CC, but it's difficult to see. It's not guaranteed in that sense. You need to get Singed and Volibear in range. You need to land a death sentence from Deficio's Thresh. Earlier in the week, myself and D-Man were talking to Snoopy about early level games and ward placements and understanding. These teams know what side they're going to be on. They know who they're playing well in advance, well ahead of time. And even during the previous matchup, Hosan was pointing out, I think there's going to be an Explorer Award put down at 40 seconds in the river. And, it just shows they've got this understanding. And you can see immediately here, defensive wards coming out of Copenhagen Wolves and defensive positioning from against All Authority. They're using themselves as wards and not letting themselves get caught out.
Well, Wolves all stacked up there, all 5 of them in that top river bush. But as minions are spawning, actually they didn't go back. One of them went back. It was Singed, who's going to be actually going down into this bottom lane, and they are going to be trying something here at level 1. They're going to get into that blue bush, and the problem is there's no defensive ward down there for against All Authority. This could be very, very bad news for Freddy if he goes and face checks through that bush. He's heading up north. This is bad. Here we go. He's pulled straight in. First blood coming out for Varus. He just exploded as he walked straight into that one. And the fact that they've not seen them, a ward there was, in my opinion, just a must.
Yeah, so true. And there's even 2 wards in Renekton's back pocket. He has, of course, just recalled, so I think he may have just picked one of those up. But, having the ward available, you need to be aware of this. You need to think of what these invasions are coming from. And I'm trying to think back to earlier games from the Copenhagen Wolves. I don't believe they've played very aggressively in the early stages of many of their matchups up to this point. So AAA could have been sitting going, well, they haven't invaded in their last 5 games, so we don't think they're going to invade now. And the Wolves do exactly what you need to do in this league setup. Pull out something different, pull out a surprise, get yourself first blood.
So this is really interesting here. Against All Authority, assuming that after that, their blue buff was gone. Now, they've obviously gone in there over onto the other side. Svenskeren did pick up that blue buff, has actually left a bit of the camp behind there as well. So that's something that's obviously going to set the timers off a little bit. They've got a ward there to see that one as virtual, getting in towards this bottom lane. And look at that, Godbro instantly saying, I'm not going to let that happen to me 2 games in a row. I'm going to put a ward down here in the tri-bush. You're not catching me out this time.
Yeah,
no way.
It's definitely the important thing to do. In the previous matchup against Fnatic, of course, giving away that first blood and that double kill, it was just so disastrous. So it's good to see a bit of an understanding and a bit of a learning from mistakes. We'll see how well he can CS underneath this tower as this lane swap. We keep talking about who's it going to hurt, who's it going to hinder, in tossing Nono back under the tower, but without tower aggro. Just a little couple ticks of the poison. And Svenskeren now, this is what we've seen out of Cyanide. Is Freddy going to go down?
Well, he's come in there. Actually, he is going to run in towards him, but that just scared Freddy away that little bit more. And Wolves going to put some good pressure down onto this turret. They've got a good wave with them there as well to tank up that damage as Virtual comes across. Wolves still there. I mean, they can keep the range that they've got with Varus, knowing that if Virtual and Freddy go in for it, then they're going to have that flipper Volibear to pull one of them out of range. Deficio will be able to lock one of them down now that he's at level 3. But either way, they've managed to hold on to that turret for now. Less than half HP remaining, but the key point is it's still there.
Now, of course, it is game number 3. This is the second time that we've seen Thresh over here in the EU LCS. There's a couple of interesting things. In the last matchup, I kept seeing Edward constantly throwing out his lantern, Dark Passage down. You can use it to collect souls.
Yeah.
So instead of, taking poke, taking damage, you can just throw that out as long as you've got the mana to do so. It's very, very important. And, a couple days ago, Jat was running all the statistics and numbers as Bjergsen gets caught.
Yeah, actually, Will managed to stun them up there, though, and that was his life saved, to be honest with you. Without that, he would have been dead. No way you're surviving Orianna and Sin there with that Ignite burning down onto him from Orianna as well. So, good stuff from Bjergsen to stay alive. We may see that Xin Zhao in the middle again. In the last game, I made a point about that Volibear in the jungle that was so heavily involved in that middle lane. Right now, the Wolves are pushing this top lane even further. Quick turret tanked up, turret hit tanked up there by Wolves. But on this next wave of minions, they should have the turret away, and you can see there that Renekton has actually backed off in that top lane completely and said, well, they're gonna have this turret. There's no point in me staying here right now to even consider being taken down.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk, especially against a Thresh who has the ability to pull you back, has the ability to hold you in place, get that slowdown with the Flay, etc. So they do secure the first turret of the game. You can see Volibear was moving into the bottom lane to help Godbro's Singe defend it, and they've done relatively well in keeping it safe. They're almost equal on farm, so both of these top laners have been somewhat crippled in that regard. They've also got the steroids from their ultimates to make their team fight presence a little more powerful. But right now, Copenhagen Wolves with the advantage, getting that first turret down. The question is, what do they do with it? How do they convert this into either a stronger gold lead or more map presence?
All right, now Volibear just visiting that bottom lane. More to push against All Authority away from that turret, because as you said, that's their aim now. They've lost their own top turret, their own outer turret in that top lane. They want some back as Schleier and Bjergsen just exchange a little bit more damage between them. Schleier obviously has to keep on his toes here to dodge everything that Bjergsen's going to throw at him. Same on the other side, that ball, very similar mechanic in from that one as well. So this middle lane going to be interesting. Right now, Schleier does have that slight lead as again, Bjergsen will land that damage down onto him, but it's a very hard lane to call in the middle because of the the unpredictability of those shots, of those skill shots coming out.
And also the amount of damage that can come down from either of these champions. Once they start getting a little bit more ability power under the belt, both champions having gone for mana items right now, the Tia versus the Chalice, and the damage that you can put down with Syndra with a full combo with those Dark Spheres, Scats the Weak, and Unleashed Power, it is really, really high. And it's very difficult. One thing that Schleier does have in his back pocket, though, which helps, is the Command Protect. It is going to give him a damage shield. It'll help block some of the burst from Syndra, but it's going to be down to timing. Can he get it up quickly enough? There is a travel time on the ball if it's too far away, etc. So reaction timing is going to be key here for Schleier.
Volibear was just waiting there inside of the brush. Bjergsen trying to bait him out a little bit there, and there you see the damage coming out. Schleier forced to flash away. The Ignite is burning onto him. He puts the Command Protect down, and that is just about enough there to keep him alive. Meanwhile, Svenskeren going in onto Freddy.
Freddy gets tossed backwards, and you can see Godbro trying to get the poison ticks down, but a well-placed Slice and Dice gets Freddy to safety, and Godbro just ends up farming out the lane.
Well, if we look at the CS between them up there, obviously now they are I guess not really relegated, but back into that 1v1 situation where they're most at home. 31 to 35 CS. That's basically the difference that Singed had earlier on from that 1v2 situation. But if we look at Copenhagen Wolves, 10.4 thousand to 9,000 gold here. That turret obviously in there. The farm in the middle in their advantages. They've got 10 CS between the two AD carries. And here we go then. No could be in a little bit of trouble there. Deficio being forced completely away from that one. And No, will he keep chasing here? Actually, he's got a decent amount of time to keep that pressure up. They're going to do something to stop this one as the test comes back in, and No decides to not really push his luck.
We do have to keep a very close eye on this bottom lane, because look at the damage from those piercing arrows. The test has returned to lane with a BF sword. After they shoved that lane down in the top and got the tower, he picked up a very early BF sword to complement his Doran's blade. but we still do not see another item pickup for Nono. So he's sitting on close to 2,000 gold, hasn't picked up any items or spent any money, so he's at a power disadvantage in this lane, as you do see Virtual steps over a ward. So Copenhagen Wolves are going to be well aware of this one and going to be able to back away to safety. Nono just using his True Shot Barrage to farm up. It's a very passive start here from AAA. They haven't really made too many plays. They tried to put some pressure on this bottom lane, but it didn't really work out for them.
Yeah, and you can understand why as well. I mean, we are, as we've harped on about 1,000 times about now, both of these teams looking for their first win. And that's why this one, in my opinion, is going to be so passive, because they're each, looking for that opening that can maybe get them in. It's nice dodge there from Virtual on the hook. But the problem is Wolves are putting down a lot of damage onto this tower. They need to be able to do something. Ezreal is quite a long way away. Doesn't have that true shot barrage that he used earlier on. But it looks like Wolves will back off for now.
And that hook as well, it's got a channel time. It's got a half-second channel time. You can actually see Thresh. He swings that chain just before he tosses it out. He uses the Flay just to push Virtual away and get that slowdown. But if you see that chain coming in, it comes down to your understanding of where the hook is going to be thrown, because it's the only ability in the game that you don't have to be looking in the direction when it is cast. You can be moving up and throw it sideways. The Test looks like he's been caught out, though.
Yeah, this is dangerous for Test. The box goes down. Crescendo comes in. He's knocked back there by Virtual. He flash away, but it's not going to be enough. Nono going to pick up the kill, and that will be a kill back. AD carries both picking up the kills here early on, and that's really going to help Nono out here to get back in the farm as well.
A really good pressure there from Xin Zhao, diving in, knocking them back with his ultimate, using that crescent sweep to get them further into the lane and just really allow Nono to put all of the damage down that he could. We see Godbro pushing very, very aggressively in this top lane. He's on that inner turret as finally that turret score gets evened out, 1-1 right now. It's a very, very even matchup, but Bjergsen is slowly creeping ahead with that CS advantage. Whoever he decides to target in a fight is probably going to get blown up, because Orianna, very squishy. Ezreal, very squishy. Sona, very squishy. And it's going to be up to Xin Zhao and Renekton to run those meat shield protections for their carry positions.
And that's with him having 16 AP, by the way, right now. You saw earlier on how much damage it does. So he's definitely going to be hurting a little bit further on into this. But like you said, he's got a good 20 CS lead there, which has got to be scary at this point for Against All Authority. That turret taking a lot of damage. Virtual a little bit worried about how far he can go in. True Shot Barrage comes over as well, which was dodged nicely by Bjergsen. Not sure if he actually saw it coming from those wards in there, as we are going to see Freddy going in on towards Godbro. And, well, can you chase the Singe? That's the real problem here. No one really should be chasing a Singe in their right mind, as we do see him finally going in there. Godbro tries to run to safety. Volibear coming in. Where's the fling away? There it is. Singe still alive as the heal comes around from Sona. Svenskeren has to back away from that one. He's not very healthy up until now with just that Madras Razor, but here comes Bjergsen from the side. Virtual going to be the target. Flashes away from the shockwave. That was brilliant. Virtual going to go down. Sona is thrown back in there by Volibear. What can they do here? They're all having to stay back because they're all very, very low. Svenskeren picks up the kill in the end, but he's now under pressure from Slayer as well. The auto attacks causing problems. He flashes over the wall. Against All Authority with Nono trying to chase him down. There's a ward there. He did have no mana. And, well, they now back away, but Slayer is still chasing in. How Svenskeren going to play this one? Was going to try and get away, but I'm not sure that he will here. He's going very low. Nono will pick up the kill. Crazy fights in the middle, and we can just see how dangerous it is there, those flings amongst the team of Wolves.
And he got the barrier out of Nono. He got the barrier out of Nono. Nono was so scared of that frenzy bite that he burned the summoner spell. Copenhagen Wolves went huge in those engagements. They used their flashes to dodge so many ultimates. Bjergsen flashing out of the shockwave was immense. He not only avoided all that damage, it allowed him to stay so much longer in that engagement, and only losing Svenskeren for that entire duration was great individual play. But Godbro on Singed, he was trollolololling, running around with that insanity potion on. He survived the ignite. He re-engaged at the perfect moment to use Fling and get him in range of Volibear, and it was just really good individual play from each of those champions as Bjergsen gets caught out this time.
Not going to avoid this shockwave, is he? He's got no flash available and is going to go down to Virtual. Nicely played by Against All Authority. There's a True Shot Barrage just to secure the kill if it was needed. And now Against Authority peel away towards the Dragon, which has already been started off by Freddy. That Renekton coming down, as we saw earlier, to force the bottom lane of Thresh Varus to back off. And this Dragon is going to be taken by Against All Authority. And that will put them to win 100 gold, or 150 by now.
That's going to even out the CS differences that we're seeing a little bit of in the lane. So it's definitely going to help them out. Keep this game very, very even. There's no clear advantage in either of these team comps. When a team commits to a fight, they tend to be the ones that win. When the Copenhagen Wolves picked the fight in the top lane, they came out better. In the mid lane, when AAA picked the fight, they came out better. It just comes down to individual positioning and individual play. We're starting to get to this roaming team fight phase now, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on Deficio's Thresh because he's going to need to land a hook. And we've seen in the previous game, when a hook does get landed, that person is dead, especially because you can combo it up with a Scatter the Weak stun or the Fling or the Rolling Thunder, etc. You are not going to get away.
Dangerous times for Against All Authority here, and that's the thing. Stay safe. Don't get caught out whatever you do in this lineup. As we see, again, Bjergsen extending that lead in the CS. Actually, in the jungle, there's quite a big difference there as well, 59 to 37. I'd say by now that Volibear obviously had more of a presence in the lanes, which is why he's suffering there on that farm cinch out. Now, he's just generally quicker moving around through that jungle as well. So he is ahead 61 to 37 right now, 125 to 97 in the middle lane, and there's a 20 CS, give or take there, lead for Varus in the bottom lane as well. And as you said, it's so important that they took that last Dragon here Against All Authority to bring that one back, because if they'd have lost that, we would have seen major items coming out after it straight away from Wolves, which would have mean they're in a very commanding position. But as it happens, they didn't. So that's all good news for them. The Athene's Unholy Grail is now finished up as a lantern gets thrown out towards Freddy.
Just collecting those souls, just getting
the souls as it goes.
All of the armor and all of the ability power. Currently up to 46 souls, maxing out his death sentence, which is Thresh's Q. It's the same thing that we've seen Edwin doing, just to get that huge damage spike and damage bonus. You see the death sentence gets tossed out, doesn't manage to connect to anybody. And there is one, sort of flaw in the Copenhagen Wolves lineup. If they get into these team fights and the team fights get drawn out and last longer and longer and longer, if Syndra cannot blow somebody up or Varus gets down very, very quickly, the damage from Singed and from Volibear, while good, it's not going to be the same as that from a Renekton and from a Xin Zhao. So ideally, what Against All Authority want to be doing is stalling out this matchup, getting tanky, getting HP, getting defensive items, and then drawing out the battles. If they lose a Sona to an ultimate from Syndra, but they carry on fighting, it's going to do well, and it just looks like Wolves want to take this middle tower.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about these team fights as well, because, yeah, you've got Singed and Volibear in particular in there to stop this Xin Zhao or the Renekton diving straight in towards their carry in that back line. But if they've been hit by the Shockwave or the Crescendo, for example, they're going to have that split, those moments of time where they can't actually stop anyone getting in the back. Now, Varus's ultimate is probably going to be key in that. He'll probably end up saving that for a little bit later in the fight in case someone does make a beeline for him and he can root them straight down.
Yeah, especially because you do have Xin and Renekton. They are going to be making those beelines. They're going to be diving through the lines. And we've just got this period of farm again. I mean, 17 minutes in, lanes have been pushed, kills have been had, dragons been picked up. It's been a very action-packed 17 minutes, but the teams aren't comfortable to pick these big team fight engagements right now. It still just feels like they want to hit this power plateau item-wise before they pick engagements. The thing is, Nono has the item advantage right now. He's sitting on an Infinity Edge, whereas the Tess is still waiting to complete his.
Yeah, there's only around about 100 gold difference there as we see Godbro in that top lane with Ghost and the Insanity Potion on. You can see his movement speed around about 9,000 or so. That's how quick he is. You don't lock those Singed down. There's no way about that one. And Freddy, even though he doesn't get the kill, he's quite happy to say, okay, you've gone out the lane now. I'll just sit there and do a little bit of farming, try and put as much damage down as I can onto this top tower. Svenskeren still not really that tanky. Probably needs to be a bit more tankier, to be honest with you. I mean, he got that Kindle gem in there up until now. Got a bit of armor from that cloth armor as well, as we are going to see Karalis getting hooked up, but he was right at the max range there from the Q and couldn't really do much to follow him in there. And as I say that, Bjergsen actually flashing in, doesn't pick pick up the kill, but will that be enough damage to force them away with 4 men coming down as Virtual is going to go in there with the ball on him? There's a true shot barrage coming across as well. Svenskron's still alive. Varus won't get that quite. And now Deficio, they're going to be one under pressure as Virtual was thinking about going off towards Svenskron. In the end, he can't do it, and that is 2 kills coming out for Against All Authority.
Schleyer has godlike reflexes. The flash came out from Bjergsen, and Command Protect immediately went down onto Corellius. It blocked so much damage from that ability. It allowed him to survive some of the bursts. I don't know if the shield was, the only thing that saved it, but it was a great play nonetheless. And immediately committing into the engagement after that, we do see him going very aggressive as Bjergsen gets knocked up in the air.
This is going to be bad for Bjergsen. Can they finish? Yes, they can. Singe was almost, I feel, at fault there. He was kind of the bait, as in, I'm Singe, come get me. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. But the damage went in onto them. And that meant that Bjergsen was pushed too far up. Singe off to the left-hand side of him, couldn't do anything to protect him, to save him at all in that fight. And they end up losing a man. And that will be 6-3 in kills. Equates to a 2,000 goal difference right now as we are tied on the turrets. Obviously, middle outer turret and the bottom outer turret has been taken down, whereas the top lane and the bottom lane in favor of Wolves. So the vision that's lost from Wolves' side here with losing that middle outer turret could prove crucial in these next moments when Dragon is up.
And their own buffs. You can see that Varus starts the blue buff, then decides to back away, waiting for Bjergsen to get there to pick it up. AAA have got the timing on this, or they get some vision down here, which you can see Corellius is moving to set up. They could challenge for these buffs. And exactly as you said, Dragon is alive, Pink Ward is down, they're going to clear out the vision, and Virtual's going to start that immediately. Does have that Locket of the Iron Solarius, has got the defense shield in addition to the Command Protect if they decide to, or if they do get jumped on, but an easy Dragon for AAA, and it just looks like the Wolves were too slow to react.
Oh, they're coming in though. They managed to lock down Slayer. There is a shockwave coming in. It's brilliantly timed with the Ezreal ultimate as well. Wolves losing half HP instantly, but it looks like they're not done from this one, which kind of surprises me considering how healthy Against All Authority were there. I mean, Slayer did end up dying in the end, but still they managed to hold them off with that shockwave.
And it was just a miscommunication there as well. That was such a great shockwave. The rest of AAA were moving away, were backing away. Slayer thought that might have been enough to save him, and you got a question now. The ultimate from Xin Zhao is available. If he had dived in and followed up, knocked everybody away, could they have blown somebody up? It's one of those questions that you'll never really know. As Godbro is going to toss Freddy back. It just interrupts that recall. They trade a little bit of damage, and we actually see Dominus coming out for Renekton. He wants this fight, and Godbro's been ignited.
Yeah. There we go. Ignite actually down on Freddy there, where they were right on top of each other. Hard to exactly see. But he's done enough to distract Renekton away from this middle turret in that. And Wolves have finally, after so many times being around that outer turret, taken it down. Against All Authority just not in the position to deal with that one. Let's have a look at the items. We've not really touched on them recently. That Locket of the Iron Solar, if you look at that Xin Zhao build coming out of Virtual, it's pretty much exactly the build that we saw coming out of Darien, out of Diamond Prox, Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, when that Xin Zhao was so powerful for him. Going in there with the Madras, first of all, to help him out get through the jungle quicker, and then picking up that Locket of the Iron Solari for his team straight afterwards. We've got one on the other side for Volibear as well. Pretty much got identical builds. Obviously, that extra farming kills for Xin Zhao has given him a little bit extra there. The mid laners, Haunting Guys, Blasting One, Sorcerer Shoes, and the tier for Syndra. On the other side, Athene's Unholy Grail is finished for Orianna, plus that needlessly large rod as well, which is obviously going to be a big chunk of power coming out. 80 carries. Infinity Edge for them both. Zeal on the side of Varus with the Vamp Scepter as well, whereas on the other side we have Ezreal currently with just that BF sword.
And of course the Infinity Edge plus the longsword in the back pocket. We'll see what that does eventually decide to get upgraded to, but still tier 1 boots. That's an interesting thing here from AAA. Tier 1 for Orianna, tier 1 Sona, tier 1 Ezreal. They haven't upgraded them yet, and I'd like to see which route they decide to go. Obviously, we'll expect the Berserkers, Greaves, and Sorcerers from both those mid and bottom laners, but AAA haven't been playing too many map objectives. The Deficio throws out the hook. They had a little bit of vision, but they might get caught up. Wolves will start running away. The ultimate comes up from Varus.
Yeah, but is it going to be enough? The box is down. They're all slowed in there. True Shot Barrage comes across. Deficio's going to take one for the team, but no, it's not finished. As the Arcane shifts in there, is able to pick up the kill on Varus, who took the majority of that damage there. In fact, all of it from the True Shot Barrage, and that was again just nicely worked. And as I was mentioning earlier on, Tess has had to use his ultimate now defensively, I think 2 out of the 3 times that he's actually had it in play.
And the positioning from AAA when they moved into that engagement, 2 from the middle, 2 from the right, that the chain of corruption could only catch 2 of them. It's not going to jump across, so he was always going to get shut down. Deficio did use the box, and it's got quite a high cooldown, around about 150 seconds, so 2.5 minutes on that ultimate before it's up and available again. And with the amount of displacement that comes from a Xin Zhao and from an Orianna, it's going to be difficult for Singed and for Volleybet to make a massive impact in these team fights. And a beautiful stun onto Nono. He gets locked up, but he's going to be able to just back away. And the slow is very powerful too.
Yeah, but you see there, only half HP, and that's the AD carry there, who's obviously up until now building out with full damage. So Bjergsen needs to get to that point where he can strip someone like that completely out of the game, because he's not going to be able to do it later on to the likes of Renekton and Xin Zhao. Probably not even to Orianna, who's obviously going to have that command protecting there as well. Sona and Ezreal are really the ones that will go down so quickly to that combo coming out. But obviously Copenhagen Wolves now, they're behind in gold, they're behind in kills, they're up in turrets just about, but after losing that last dragon, they're obviously feeling the heat of knowing that they're not in front in terms of the items and in terms of where they are in the game, as we see a needlessly large rod come out of Syndra, obviously headed up now towards that death cap.
Once that death cap is completed, the burst is going to be even higher, but I have to touch on that little engagement there on the bottom. As Nono was trying to run away, Bjergsen used the Dark Sphere and Scatter the Weak and shot it even in a prediction way in the direction that Nono used his Arcane Shift. The reaction time and the aiming on that little sphere was so great. It's exactly the same as watching a Link from CLGNA. He used a Syndra to just such great perfection. The ability to aim those spheres, I cannot stress how difficult it is. If you haven't played Syndra, it's difficult to appreciate, because it's a little arc, the ball sits on the floor, and you effectively kick it. And depending on, the angle of you in relation to the ball, depends on the direction it flies. It's so difficult to get that accurate. But Bjergsen is hitting it on the head every single time.
Dragon going to be up here in less than a minute. We'll see if Against All Authority can take it down once again. Singed and Renekton, by the way, we've not really looked at them because, well, it's Singed and Renekton. If someone gets low, they just run away the entire time, and they're just farming as much as they can. Only a 5 CS difference up there. We do have that Crystal Scepter finished off for Singed, the Brutalizer, Hex Drinker, and a Giant's Bell up there for Renekton. As Against All Authority are pushing that inner turret on the bottom lane, and Wolves not able to really respond to this one. They've been caught off a little bit by that. And look at the ward coverage here on that side of the jungle. That's perfect play from Against All Authority, knowing that Dragon's up soon. They pick up that blue buff in there. They've got total vision of that part of the jungle, and they're just going to back away and say, well, Dragon's up in a couple of seconds. We're going to see them if they're coming. We're going to set up a trap, which they may just do here. Full
vision. They know exactly where the Copenhagen Wolves are coming. Svenskeren doesn't realize the trouble he's in. The command protector's on Xin Zhao. Come on, the shockwave comes out. It's not going to be enough, but Svenskeren has been knocked into the air. Lantern is down. He's going to use it. The Dark Passage to safety, and I think that's the first accurate use of Dark Passage we've seen today from this matchup.
Yeah, the first one that was needed.
That's a better word. That's a better word.
Gambit did a bit of playing around with it, but they were really only just playing around with it, as Dragon will be picked up there for AAA. Wolves actually still hanging around here, as Tess just charging up there. Not quite got the range to hit Nono, but now they're all moving up from this bottom side of the river. I'm wondering if they're going to go for anything. Svenskeren is down to round about half HP, as Nono going to Arcane Shift his way out of any possible danger on that side. Second Giant's Belt being picked up here as well by Singed. Schleier comes in from the side. This may just cost him though, as he gets hooked in. There goes the Chain of Corruption down as well. Schleier trying to get to the back on towards that Syndra, as we do see the Ezreal ultimate coming in as well. Virtual down to half HP, currently a 1-for-0, but Against All Authority not finished here. Nono is pushing forward with the double buffs on, nicely dodges the hook, and that will maybe be them pushing back. Wolves actually turning around again, and they're going to start pushing back down now that the minion wave is there. Nono again gets stunned, but he'd already hit the button to move away with that Arcane Shift, and they will back off. Crazy fight.
Really well played by Copenhagen Wolves. They landed a lot of the abilities that they needed to land, and Bjergsen was safe saving his Unleash pass, saving his ultimate towards the end. The scary thing, though, that was 4 or 5 members of the Copenhagen Wolves trying to focus down Virtual, and they could not get the kill. They were bashing away and bashing away, and I think a big reason for that is the Tess's damage right now. He's only on around 210 attack damage with that Infinity Edge and the Vamp Scepter. In comparison, Ezreal has the Bloodthirster and the IE completed. Then True Shot Barrage comes out with a court. With the items, I think the Tess is hitting around 850 damage on True Shot Barrage. If it hasn't hit any targets yet, single target, the first one hit, that would have killed Bjergsen for sure.
Yeah, he would have been dead from that one, but look at this. Against all authority, going very deep with this one. Baron started off. There's a ward in the back of the pit, so Wolves know exactly what's going on as Deficio throws the lantern and say, we're here, run away, please, because the entire team's not exactly there right now to really challenge that one, and it seems to have worked as Godbro going to get pulled in by the shockwave. He's not going to survive that one. Baron taken down as well. Against all authority, peeling off for the kill at the same time as finishing off. Dragon couldn't have gone any better for them.
And Copenhagen's... The Wolves are just split decision. They didn't really commit. You had Singed going in there about half health, but Varus with his ultimate Chain of Corruption was there. It was available. He didn't throw it into the pit. You see Bjergsen was in and around near the red buff. He didn't go in, further either. It was just split decision there from the team. They didn't really have a coordinated attack on the Baron, and there wasn't a clear indication, look, are we going to stop this or are we just going to give it away? They end up losing it, and they lose a kill as well. With that, the gold lead, AAA are in a very, very good position right now in terms of map control, in terms of, team fight presence and power, and it's up to them to push these towers and really solidify the lead.
And that's exactly right. One thing that we've seen so far from what we can say less tournament experienced teams here in the LCS has been a real trouble to finish off games when they've had that lead. And we'll see how Against All Authority can do this one. They've got a good gold lead in there. Turrets are even right now with every single, and that's actually lights. The inner turret in the bottom that's down, the outer turret in the top lane of Wolves is actually still up and alive. So I'm pretty sure they'll want to get rid of that at some point just to give them that extra bit of gold. But right now, they are moving up towards that jungle of Wolves. And it's going to be Corralius who goes in there first. Svenskeren looking to get the fling on him. Forces a flash out of Corralius there. Probably would have been better off going for the crescendo, although you never quite know if Wolves are going to pile straight on after him, and then you would have wanted that crescendo to come in. But either way, Against All Authority now looking for that next turret, the inner turret in this middle lane as the Tess going out there, got that static shiv, which, helps to clear out those waves and to spread the damage that he's putting out a little bit across the team, but I'm not sure if he can really stand up to Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge Ezreal.
Now, the amount of damage between these two different champions is just really, really high, and it's an interesting pickup for the Tess's Varus. The movement speed, the attack speed is always awesome, but with his passive and the burst potential that Syndra can put down in a fight, you almost expect him just to be relying on his passive, as we do see Svenskeren has caught a Corralius.
Wow, puts the crescendo down on the 3 that were coming in from the one side, but Corralius being slowed, and he's not going to escape that one. He goes down to Bjergsen in the end, and that's a kill for free for Wolves. And if you gift too many of those freebies over, that's how you end up losing games.
Yeah, you cannot afford to give away the advantages that you have. The stun lands into Freddy. He's going to be able to slash just to increase some speed, some distance between him and the remaining Wolves players. But Freddy's Renekton, a slightly different build to what we've been seeing from many of the other Renektons. He's gone almost damage first, and now he's building tanky. Hex Drinker, Black Cleaver, as if the slice and dice shred when he's above 50 Fura wasn't enough. Now he's going to be taking even more off. That could help out the Tess's damage, of course, by shredding that armor away, removing it, and allowing the auto attacks from the Tess to deal, exponentially higher numbers.
Right now, Schleier and Freddy going to be pushing this middle lane out. Not much time left on that Baron buff, which means they're probably going to be going home here shortly. We can see that 1,300 gold on both Renekton and Xin Zhao to spend. Varus on the other side has 1,500, almost 1,600 gold to spend when he does, in fact, decide to go home there as well. If we compare a couple of lanes here, 2,000 difference in gold in the AD carries in favor of Ezreal. Not quite a 2,000, it's more like 1,200 right now between the mid laners. The junglers, 8.3 to 6.9, that's pretty significant. The supports, which we can usually look at to, really get rid of the CS bias and all that kind of thing, and the kill bias, at least in some cases, 6,600 to 6,000. So that's actually not that big of a difference. It's 6,000 gold overall, which can be changed around pretty quickly if they get in there for a Dragon, if they're able to pick up a decent amount of kills in a team fight. And, well, Baron's not going to be too far away from coming up itself.
Yeah, it's also, you know, the number in total, 6,000 is still a large number, but because it's spread relatively thin across all of the champions, and it is 33 minutes into the matchup, it's not as significant as, you know, if it were 10 minutes ago. Virtual is looking to engage. The Command Protect is on his head, so they were looking for that charge shockwave combo, but it wasn't to be. It's going to come down to positioning. The only way the Wolves can actually win a fight is if they avoid that shockwave and jump onto a single target. But you can see the Wolves, they're running scared. They've got their tails between their legs, and they're not ready to commit yet.
And I think rightly so there. Once they'd realized that Dragon was actually gone, they just thought, well, we can't win this one. Let's just get the hell out of here. Get back to safety. As we see against Authority, turn instantly. They're going to go straight up again, push this middle lane out there. Getting a little bit caught by the Singed Poison. I mean, they are decently tanky here, the Wolves, but as you said, that Ezreal is a really big factor. They have to get onto him. They have to get in there and stop him being able to hammer away on them, because he will be doing a ton of damage. As against Authority, getting closer again. Minions cleared out pretty quickly. That Varus in particular can really, with Syndra of course, really get rid of those minion waves quickly. So they've not got that much there to be pushing quickly onto these turrets. But you know, Virtual is super tanky. We saw earlier on how much of a trouble they had when they were throwing all kinds of things at him. It didn't really lose that much health, and that will be a worry for Wolves.
Yeah, and you know, you touched on the fact they're going to jump onto Nono's Ezreal, and it's going to be so hard with a knockback from Xin, the pull in from Orianna. You can see Svenskeren trying to chase Freddy, slice and dices in, Dark Passage is down, so if anyone wants to retreat, they have that escape path, but no real commitment from either team right now, and it just looks like the Wolves once again are going to back away.
Well, Virtual actually getting a little bit quick there, got the movement speed boost, but I think in the end, by the time he's slowed about 3 or 4 times from the various different abilities and items that Wolves can throw at them there, he decides, okay, not going to push that one. Tess going to be having that red buff away from his side of the map. Seeing pings over by the blue buff, which has actually just spawned in there. That's going to be Nono helping out Schleier to take that one down. And the Baron will be up in 30 seconds. Interesting to see whether against Authority, obviously after having the last one got the exact timer down, will be there right on spawn to make sure it's secure.
Yeah, you can see they're backing off right now. They're going to spend what money they have and then possibly position themselves either to challenge or to take it. That's probably going to be the next big power shift in this battle. If the Copenhagen Wolves can secure the Baron or a good team fight, they can pull themselves back into the matchup. If it goes to AAA uncontested or for free, you know, or you know, if AAA pick up some kills, I think they're just going to stamp their authority on this match. But it's the second time we've seen against All Authority, and we can't really judge their overall play, but it's something that we've seen out of the likes of Copenhagen Wolves, where they get to 35 minutes, they have an advantage, albeit it's not a, you know, a massive advantage, but they're not really making big plays. They haven't barrel rolled a lane for tower. They haven't pushed 5 members into the jungle to steal buffs. They're playing fairly passive, and I think you can feel the tension in this matchup right now. Both teams want the win, and AAA don't want to, you know, throw it on a misstep or a misplay.
We have the Oracle Elixir running right now over with against All Authority. It's Corrales who has that one, just clearing out that ward in the back of the pit. And there's not really many wards available to them. As I say that, I noticed the 2 in there on Volibear as well. But we'll see what they do about this one, because at some point, they're going to run out of wards here.
The one benefit that the Wolves do have is that Dark Passage Lantern. Once they do run out of wards, Svenskeren has 2 more in his inventory there that he can put down. They're going to be able to throw that Lantern in there for vision, but it is a very, very high cooldown, and it does mean that if AAA decide to engage, it is not going to be available. Godbro is playing very, very stanza. I mean, you do see the engage.
Shockwave comes down. Bjergsen was targeted there. They completely knock him away from it. The tanks are right in the middle, trying to get onto that back line. That doesn't quite work out for them. Deficio going low. The Tess is the target. Varus going to get finished off here. Singe running south. They should just totally ignore him and go back towards Baron. That's what they're going to do with Volibear and Varus down. There's not really that much that Wolves can do. All the 3 remaining players are all around half HP, and against Authority, especially with that Sona in there to heal the ones up who were getting low, will be able to take this Baron. Nothing that Wolves can do.
Copenhagen Wolves were spread so thin on that front. You had Godbro, who was up deep. He was away from everybody. You had 2 or 3 of them in that river grass area. They got caught by the shockwave. They were not in a position to fight. They were not grouped up. They were not stacked up. They were all over the show, and it just cost them. As soon as shockwave landed, they weren't together, first of all, and they just didn't react in the appropriate way. They got shut down and picked off one by one, and AAA, as a 5-man unit, literally just steamrolled over the Wolves.
Yeah, and look at No. He really, really hurts right now. He's got 1,600 gold to spend, 5-0-5. We talked about how good his Ezreal was in the qualifiers when we saw it, and he's proven here once again that you probably want to take that Ezreal away from him if you can manage it. Let's have a look at his 4,000 gold ahead, actually. He's just picked up that Quicksilver sash as well as he went home. So he has got a lot here to stop him being locked down, and that's the thing that we pointed out. Yeah, Volibear and Singe, they're going to be great for flinging people around, but if he can't get to that back line, what do you have to stop that Ezreal from really doing anything? By the time Shockwave and Crescendo have gone down, that Ezreal can actually probably just kill Svenskeren outright.
Yeah, the amount of damage, the amount of kiting ability, and also the fact that Ezreal is really difficult to lock down to begin with. You know, he has that Arcane Shift, he has Phantom Dancer to move, avoid minion blockers. You can see Volibear having a bit of a dance under the turret. It's just a really good pickup and really well played from Against All Authority. For the first time in a long time, we see them trying to push down, as we do see Nono has been caught. Chain of Corruption comes out, he's immediately blown up. Fight continues, and everybody is everywhere. Against All Authority, they're underneath the tower. The Zhonya's Hourglass was popped by Schley as he starts to run away, but Godbro is troll-a-lolling. Freddy 1-2 is low. He's forced out of the fight as Godbro maybe goes down.
He's managed to actually pull the Sona back in there as well. They're going to finish Sona off finally in that one as Godbro gets the slowdown onto Virtual as well. He is running out the side of him, going to fling him over to the other side. Shlaya coming in, Box goes down. Wolves taking a lot of damage from that one. They may have gone too far in this one. They are losing everyone. Godbro going low. He will die there in the end. Test trying to get away, but won't quite manage it. Now the question is, can Deficio escape? He's the last man left alive. 4 of his teammates already dead. Against All Authority decide not to chase, and that is the crazy team fight that I was talking about in the pre-game when we saw those bans and picks coming out, and that could very well decide it here. I mean, 3 for 4 men in the end. That's not an even fight.
And it's exactly what we said in the mid-game of this matchup, that the longer the team fights go, the more difficult it is for Copenhagen Wolves to pick up wins. They initiated perfectly. They caught Nono with that death sentence, and it was a death sentence because he was blown up so fast under that tower. And because the fight drew out for so long, Renekton was just allowed the entire time to deal damage. Slayer just continually throwing out command attack, command attack, command attack. And the test, because he's super squishy at the moment, eventually got shut down and Renekton was able to clean house. The ability to mop up a fight from AAA is stronger than the ability to mop up a fight from Copenhagen Wolves.
But also the chase there. I mean, Wolves did so well in that fight before they went too far into it. You know, they were like, okay, guys, we got this one. They went in, and then it was, actually, you know what? We don't. Now that their abilities are all off cooldown again, they just turn around and absolutely destroys. And the fact was, Schlayer was off to kind of the top side of where they were and really caused them those problems when he landed everything coming back in as well. But obviously that Baron buff is with Against All Authority and won't have too much time remaining on it. I'm just... in fact, it just ran out, I think, as I said that, yeah. So let's see what they can do with this one. No chasing in that top lane on towards the test. In the end, the lantern gets thrown out. It's kind of like, here I am, here's your lifeline. And they come across. There's Volibear there as well. Virtual coming up from the bottom side. He's got the ball on his head, which they realise means, okay, Oriana's there in the immediate area as well. There's the Baron buff on Oriana. I was going to say it's not run out by now. But they are pushing all these lanes out right now. And that inhibitor turret is surely going to be going down, at least in the next couple of ways. Maybe not in this one as they fling Virtual in, but he's not the target that you want to fling in there. He's the champion that's going to go towards your team anyway. If they do decide to fight, they need to get in on towards Nono. They need to try and lock him down as the hook will land on a Nono. Here we go. Big shockwave comes across. The chain is going across the team, but to be honest, I don't know if it's enough as Bro will fall as well. That's going to be a 2 for 1. The test somehow survived right there at the back. But again, Against All Authority come out on top. Virtual is still very, very healthy here, and in the end they decide to back away. They don't want to risk Bjergsen being able to damage them.
The displacement from Virtual's ultimate was really the game changer in that fight. They were clumped up together. So many Copenhagen Wolves dove onto them in the middle there. The box went down, locked everybody together, and Xin Zhao just said, no, 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 you will not pass. Knocked everybody away with his ultimate and allowed them to convert it. They did lose Ezreal, but again, even though they're losing their AD carry who has so much gold, so much damage, they're still winning these engagements in these fights because the test is simply not safe enough in these battles.
Virtual there, charging straight over towards Bjergsen, then realized the other two were behind him once they came in vision of that ward. But we're approaching a 3/4 of an hour long game right now. And still, against All Authority, they're making small steps, kind of baby steps towards that victory. But it's no real big push, and that's partly because, you know, these team fights haven't been 100% safe for them. You know, they've been coming out on top of them. In that last big one that we saw in the middle lane, he actually took they had to back away from it before going back into it again to really pick up more kills from it. So overall, still not a safe bet for against All Authority. Baron's coming up in a minute time. That could be the kind of thing that he is a finisher of the game.
And Nono's been caught twice. Both of those two team fights, he has been caught out by Deficio's death sentence, and it has cost him his life. Every single time he has been caught, I mean, both times, he has gone down. So Deficio is doing well, waiting for that cue, waiting for a clear shot.
Yeah, it's not easy to find that clear shot through the team either.
And, you know, because of the wind-up, because of the travel time, etc., it's a difficult skill to land. He is doing it. The problem is the Copenhagen Wolves are so far behind, and once they do dive into the fight with Singed and Volibear, you know, zoning in on a target, the power of the shockwave and that crescent sweep throws them away as Virtual's looking to set up another fight for against All Authority.
So God, bro, that just put on the poison trail. Say, all right, then you come and chase me if you like. Virtual, in the end, decides to back away a little bit from it. And they're going to be funneled in there by that poison off towards that left-hand side as they go through the brush. They're met with a good amount of damage there from the test. But, of course, that inhibitor is completely open in the top lane. And against All Authority, again, not willing to go for it. They know that Baron's coming up here, and that is going to be their next target. The question is whether Wolves know that exact timing and whether they're going to be, you know, feeling confident enough to actually go in there and try to stop this one. I think they need to at this point of the game.
Yeah, it's do or die, I'm afraid. If they don't stop this or pick it up, they are going to be in trouble, but they're going to be there too late. It's picked up before they even get there. Now the Wolves are scattered and split up. Are they going to get shut down? Virtual wants to chase. He flashes. Audacious charges in. It's going to knock up Godbro.
He is going to go in there, but can they get across? The slows coming in, absolutely destroy him. No, very dangerous position again, off towards the side. Wolves, I don't think quite spotted him early enough to do anything about it, and either way probably didn't want to stick around when the rest of the team were coming in from that backside. Are they going to go for this second inhibitor turret of the game, or will they be happy to force those super minions through from the top side?
The bottom lane is being pushed. There's a massive creep wave underneath the tower. It's doing so much damage to them. AAA are doing well to keep the pressure on. They weren't able to get onto Godbro because he popped that insanity potion as they have been stunned up, but nobody's there to follow up the damage or the stun from Bjergsen. The thing is, Bjergsen ultimate is on cooldown. If they decide to pick an engagement now, that power, that movement speed, that regen is not available for him. And AAA are doing exactly what they need to do. Rotate to the bottom, it is exposed, there's no tower there, and try to pick up the next inhibitor.
Let's see what they can do. True Shot Barrage comes across, only really hitting the test there. Took about a fifth of his health away as Freddy and Virtual are both right in the middle. Where is that shockwave? They need it now as Virtual going very low. The crescendo comes around. They keep going. Still that shockwave not gone down from Slayer. There it is finally to lock down Svenskeren and the test. The test now being hammered by Nono, who will get the kill onto him. There are 3 men down on the side of Wolves. This is the second inhibitor of the game. Corralius is definitely healthy enough here to tank up the turret. They don't even need it because there are minions coming in there as well. That is going to be the third and final inhibitor of this game. The third and final inhibitor itself will go down shortly after as well. And against All Authority, surely will back away, or will they? I mean, there's not much mana between them. Slayer, pretty much the only one that's got mana there. So I think he needs to be a little bit careful about what he does. Just a decent hook from Deficio. could spell trouble for him, and in the end they will back off, but good job done there from Against All Authority.
Amazing passage of play there. A minute and a half, 2 minutes down. They get all 3 inhibitors. They waited for the creep waves to push. They only went for the big map objective, the Baron Asher, once those minions were on the bottom lane tower. Then they rotated top because the minions were doing the damage. The minions took the turret down for them. And it just shows a great understanding of the map, of the play, of the meta at the moment. You know, only push objectives when you have the advantage to do so. The entire time through that fight, Nono was relatively untouched, and it just shows how much of a difference it makes in these team fights. I think he hit the test for about 650 damage with a crit. He sold his boots and now picked up a Zephyr as well. I mean, it's just so powerful.
And that's how dangerous he is. But at the end of the day, if they do lock him down, none of those items are going to mean anything, because he's dead instantly.
Very true. If they jump into him, the problem is how much do they need to throw onto him to pick up that kill? Because we've seen it previously. They've thrown everything they have at killing Nono, and that's great. They get their objective, but then they die because they're so far overextended. They're a bit split up. The shockwave and the crescent sweep hits everybody, and Renekton and Xin Zhao just say, well, thank you very much. We'll happily clean house because we're super tanky. We deal loads of damage, and you know, you've used everything on everybody else.
So here we go then. Super minions coming in from the middle and that top lane. It's going to be forcing Wolves to sit back, soak them up, and get rid of them as fast as they can. Since they're just flinging one out the way. He's currently tanking 3 of them up, which he will be fairly happy with anyway. No real problems for him. Ward's going down inside the base now, so they've got even more vision Against All Authority, and it's just about getting that right pick in there, getting the exact target that they want as they go forward. The minions start streaming through. Nexus turrets, of course, going to be the next big focus for them, but they've got to get this one right. Nono already losing about a quarter of his health. Obviously does have the lifesteal in there to get that all back, but are they going to be able to pull this one off? Here we go. Hook lands onto Schleier. They're going to go in for this one, and it's not going to go well for them, surely, as Schleier finally gets shut down there. It's Syndra that picks up the kill. Godbro falling. Svenskeren's going to fall, and they've gone through. They've tanked through it with Orianna taking all the abilities onto them. Bjergsen is trying to force them away. Actually will finish off Ezreal there in the end, but they've already lost 1 Nexus turret. There's loads of super minions in there as well. The Nexus itself is going to go down, and Against All Authority going to put Copenhagen Wolves 0-7 down, and more importantly for them, pick up their first victory.
Game number 2 of the LCS for AAA, and they win. You know, it took 35 minutes for them to get control, but once they did not let it go. Great play, and no. He stood up and he shone.
He did. Sorry. He certainly did shine in that one. We didn't manage to get that out there in the end, but impressed with his play with that Ezreal either way. We're going to throw it over to the guys on the analysis desk. They're going to break everything here from Wolves versus Against All Authority.
Yes, clearly no limit was reached for no.
There's no limit.
Yeah, okay, we could go there. We could be going all. Everybody say yeah.
It's really keeping that song going.
We could just keep going. But yes, well, still 0-7 for the Copenhagen Wolves. That is not a good sign. And actually, you know, we were talking about it at the start. Against All Authorities played very shaky early on in that game. And you were saying to it yourselves, nobody wants to be the people that lose to Copenhagen Wolves. You've got to play them tomorrow now. You could be that guy.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of not helpful.
Not helpful. But we do have a replay early on, and it really showed the first game nerves.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and set up the situation for you guys, just so you have an idea. It's 14.2 thousand gold to 14.3. Wolves with the 100 gold lead, 1-1 in turrets, and it's 1-1 in kills. But this is the first big fight that we see that really sets the tone of the game. As we'll go ahead and take you into it, and Hosan, just walk us through what you see actually happen.
Basically, Nagodbro and Freddy were trading. Then Svenskeren came to help. Karalius was kind of trying to save Freddy. They were running, but they got surrounded. Bjergsen just came, put Virtual really low and outplayed Schleier. I mean, he just flashed and killed Virtual. But basically, Schleier is really defensive right there. Like, he left all of them really low because he didn't want to go in. Though he was really safe. Like, the nerves there just didn't allow him to go. And there we can see that he will be, like, hesitating where to go. He should have gone top. killed both Negodbro and Svenskern, but instead he just goes and kills Svenskern with Nono. Well, Nono even uses a barrier when he's safe because of the nerfs.
Yeah, I mean, that Nom was so close to finishing him off, and we even had, well, just 3 members. I mean, Bjergsen was really low. Svenskar, as you mentioned, does die, and Godro escapes by the skin of his teeth. But still, in the end, a good trade for Wolves, but it unfortunately wasn't enough, as they ended up falling behind.
I like how passive he is now that he's on camera, because when we were off camera, he's like, why are you not going top? You get kills, multiple kills top. And now he's on camera, he's just like, you know,
can't be like this.
he could have been and done this, and all passive. He's a different person when that camera's not on him, I assure you, ladies and gentlemen. But the second replay we have for you, it was really the big tower dive. It was a pretty close fight for both teams, honestly.
Yeah, and Hosam was even saying that there's this one play, which I'm sure he's going to spot during it, where it really kind of turns things around. It was an amazing play by Schleya. But to give you a little bit of a context here, it's 11-6. We do have Baron buff on against Authority. It's 4-3 in turrets and 57.7 thousand gold to 47.9. It was looking relatively good for the Wolves in the beginning of this fight, but it ended up turning out against them. So it's going to get that on the screen and show you, or have at least Hosam tell you how it kind of developed.
Yeah, it begins when the Physio picks up the Q on Nono, takes him in and just combos, like...
Yeah, we'll slow it down because he dies extremely quickly.
3, 2, 1, and there it is. There, he's just gonna get comboed. But the same happens to Bjergsen at the same time. They both die, so both carries are dead on each team. Now it's gonna be like we're in the danger because there is the turret. Schleya is just gonna flash out in the danger of the test killing him. They're just gonna back off a little. Karalius is gonna die in a sec.
Yeah, he ends up getting flinged back into the enemy team.
Like their Karalius will back off to Schleya. I mean, after being flipped back. Unfortunately dies.
Well, let me ask you at this point. We'll pause it right here and keep it on your screen. But should Wolves have backed off here because they end up, going in and dying? Like, is this a point where they should have taken their advantage and kind of rolled with it and not really overcommitted?
I think they forgot about Schleya. I mean, they thought he's kind of low. Like, he got really high somehow with the Baron region, and now they were just grouped and got killed by the AoE. Like, it has such a low cooldown and such a big damage that they just got killed there out of nowhere.
And that's the thing you have to ask yourself at that point is, I mean, Wolves, they were extremely far behind. It was almost 10,000 gold, and they had to make a big play, but do you think that was the big play they should have made?
Yeah, I think the Q cage by the Physio was a good thing. They killed. Bjergsen has flash up. I don't know if it was up in the fight, but if he survived the Sona ult, the Renekton slice and dice and stuff, then they would have clearly like 5-0 or something.
Yeah.
And that would have, like, there is Drake up. There's everything. They could have done so much. But
and they were against a Baroned up against Authority. You have to keep remembering, because that's not an easy thing to win. That fight where you're down 10,000 gold and they have that Baron.
I mean, they just one-shot at AD. That's a big difference. Like, the whole meta now is about protecting AD. And actually now he has 4 items. So it's like he can two-shot most of people in team, and he just died without doing anything.
Yeah.
So that was main reason, but still Bjergsen died and they couldn't do anything. I mean, they just chased them and Schleya out of nowhere then cleaned up everyone.
Hey guys, I'm back with 75% health.
Yeah, the Baron healing is just really big at this point.
So, interesting point. And what, anything in there, would you have done differently? Other than not dying at the turret 100% straight away.
I don't know. Like, do you mean on the Wolves side or?
Yeah, well, I mean, as the AD carry, I mean, obviously he got caught out. Is that simply a case of you would have to go back and look at that and say, okay, my positioning in this game was actually not solid, because he got caught a few times there by Syndra?
Yes, I mean, basically we saw later Nono when they tried to push the inhibitor top turret. We saw him get grabbed again.
Get caught again, yeah.
It was actually a miss. He aimed at Sona and hit Nono again.
So the scumbag gets out of the way. Karalius is just like, yeah, I'm just going to get out of here.
Just die Nono. We win the team fight anyway. But yeah, he got Varus ulted again. He actually tried to flash, and he got Bjergsen ulti for half HP, so it was no chances to survive. But I think he should look mainly at the trash. His mouse should be pointed backwards, and he should just E the moment.
Just be ready to get arcane shift straight away.
He sees the hook.
As soon as he sees it winding up, he's winding up.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Do I go left? Do I go right?
He should just E away. I mean, if he doesn't have E, he doesn't come close, and if he does, he just looks at the trash right in the eyes. Like, you're gonna cast it, I'm gonna cast my E and run away.
Stare down his eyes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna see whether he is too unlimited. It is no with Shocks.
Absolutely. I'm here with the man himself, No. So deciding in the qualifiers, so deciding here in this first win for AAA on Ezreal. Can you lead us through the game in your own words? How did you manage to become so strong?
Maybe because I could farm a lot, because my team did an amazing job. I had nothing to do, just right-click the minions and that's it. And I did it perfectly, I guess, so I could manage to win.
Tell us something more specific about going against that lane with the trash in it.
Yeah, I was scared because, like you see, I get couched 2 times by trash, I think, because I never play versus trash, or not a lot. So I just need to practice versus him. But it's a strong champion, I think.
Obviously, you're a very good AD carry. I'd like to pitch this quote to you from Doublelift, AD carry over in NA, who said, well, if the game stays the way it is, I don't know what my role will be like next year if it'll be around. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was starting to think like that, because there is a lot of assassins like Janna, Kha'Zix, Zed, but not anymore. And I think Doublelift says that because he plays with a lot of tank in his team all the time. So maybe, I don't know.
So we asked our viewers, who do you think has a team that has the most potential? Do you feel like you could be that team?
Maybe, I don't know, but I think for me it's Giants, because, I like them.
Okay, final question. We don't know your team that well, but we're getting to know you. Who is kind of the shot caller in your team? Who makes decisions?
Shaya made the decision. He's smart. He knows what to do.
Froggen.
He knows what to do and stuff. And I think he's a good leader. So thanks to him.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. We're about to take a short break, but first, don't forget about today's Twitter question. Which LCS team shows the most potential? As always, your answer can be tweeted at LOL eSports, #LCS. We'll be right back with our last match of the day, and what a match it is. Evil Geniuses take on Fnatic. Don't go anywhere.